Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about the new way that I'm going to be investing. Now, this is not advice. This is something that perhaps you might want to do yourself. I've changed and I'm looking constantly at different ways of investing and collecting in the Pokemon space because right now, as you all know, things are going crazy. Shops are being broken into, people are being robbed. And to be honest with you, I don't have the space for sealed products anymore. So, what have I done over the last 6 to 12 months with regards to investing and collecting? Now, one thing I have done is I have been trying to pick up stuff at MSRP from the Pokemon Center, especially Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes, but it has been quite difficult because of the long queues. And also, sometimes when I do get into the Pokemon Center, I'm not able to get the product. Other things that I've been able to buy at MSRP, I have. Whenever I've had a Pokemon Center drop and I've been there on time, I've been able to pick up a couple of ETBs, a booster box, or some booster bundles. But other than that, it is very difficult now for the average person to get hold of sealed Pokemon product for collecting. So, what have I changed? As you might remember in my last video, I was talking about how I am looking at grading plays and investing and collecting graded cards. Generally, just PSA cards because they are the most liquid. And today I'm going to present you with, and bear with me because I've not really done this multi screen setup before. Today I'm going to give you my 5 or 6 point action plan to what I'm doing when assessing whether or not a graded card is worth buying or whether or not it is worth investing in at all. Now, my basic thinking and understanding is that with modern product, there are just so many people in the space that there are going to be tens, if not hundreds of thousands of these boxes available in the future. Now, I don't have a magic crystal ball. I don't know what's going to be held in the future. However, just basic fundamental analysis of the situation tells me that right now the market is really, really hot. What's going to happen when the market isn't hot? And I think scarcity will make a big, big difference in the space. Things that are not easy to attain, things that are older, things that 50,000 other people don't have will be worth, in my opinion, a lot more as it will be more scarce. We are, I believe, at the tip of the iceberg. This is only the beginning. The market has huge growth potential. However, I'm starting to position myself in a way whereby I'm only buying things that are scarce. And for things that are not scarce, I want to be able to get them at a really good price at MSRP or below. So let's jump into this without further ado. I'm going to try and show you my simple process. Now, please take it easy. Let me know if you agree with these points in the comments down below. So when looking at graded cards, what is it that I am personally looking at? Well, it's very simple for me, really. The older, the better. So if it's vintage, it's great. Mid-era, great. Even some modern stuff that's maybe 9, 10 years old is also great. These are kind of what I'm looking for. The other thing I'm also looking for is buying the card rather than the grade. Obviously, in a 10, it would command a premium. They're a lot more liquid. And I'm looking at the cards. I've got a bunch of cards here, which I'm going to use as examples as well, and give you the data as to how and why I've come to the decision of actually buying these cards. But for me, I'm looking at the condition of the cards, the centering, the surface, the edges, the corners, so that when I do come to sell this in the future, even though they are quite lower pop, that they have got a really good opportunity and chance to sell because the right buyer will look at the condition as well. Number 3 is gem rate. So the gem mint 10 rates on all of the cards I'm buying, I'm looking for ideally under 20% of a conversion rate for PSA 10. That also means that it's not just about the gem rate, but it's also about how many of them have been graded. So if I'm looking at a card that's maybe under 10% of a gem mint rate for that particular card, I don't want to buy something that's only had a few cards graded. There's no point having a pop one of a card where the only card that's been graded is that very card. If you've got several hundreds, even thousands graded, and there is a low gem rate below 20%, it means that that card generally is popular, but also it is not easy to get a 10 with. I think that that will add additional. Obviously, with ultra modern cards, it's slightly different. We've seen the populations on like the Van Gogh Pikachu, the Umbreon VMAX from Evolving Skies, and a bunch of different alt arts from the modern era. However, when looking at vintage, I'm talking about more older cards here. I think scarcity will be very, very important, and part of scarcity is having a low gem mint rate. Then also, we want to be looking at, or what I'm looking at, is popular species. What species are popular? Are we looking at Charizards? Are we looking at Pikachus, Squirtles, Blastoise, Bulbasaur? Are we looking at species that are generally liked by people? Rayquaza, Gyarados, Raichu, Snorlax, all these species generally tend to do well. Now, that's not guaranteed, but I think you stand a better chance in the long run if you're picking up cards that have got popular species in them. Now, the fifth point, which could be the last point, but there's another point that I'll bring on just further to this, is spotting opportunity in advance. And I'll give you the Reshiram example. The reason why I put Reshiram, you're probably thinking this, is that I was able to pick up the full art Reshiram from Black and White base set last year for a very, very good price. The card is now quadrupled in value since I bought it. But the reason I bought that card was because, A, I think it's a great card. The art's really, really good. It's a PSA 10. And also, Black Bolt and White Flare was going to come out in about 3 to 4 months. So in anticipation for there potentially being a Reshiram in that set also, I tried to get the Zekrom, but I couldn't find the Zekrom at a price that I was happy to pay. But I was able to get the Reshiram at a price which I was very, very happy with. And I picked it up. And actually, once Black Bolt and White Flare released, I saw that card go through the roof. And now I've still got the card. I will show you guys shortly as to what the card is. And finally, last but not least, this is not something that I always look for, but if I could find something that's obscure, that's not very well known, that's not super popular right now, but it's of a popular species, or there's a quirk about it, there's some kind of error in there, then I would like to pick that card up. In fact, the Reshiram that I was just talking about, I'm going to show you another reason why I picked up this particular card. But anyway, you can take a screenshot of this, guys. For me, as I said, 5-step plan is the older the better. Buy the card, not the grade. Gem mint rate at less than 20%, ideally, with a decent amount of cards being graded, if not in the high hundreds, in the thousands, with less than 20% gem mint rate. Popular species, and spot the opportunity in advance if you can. Now, I know I'm not telling you rocket science here. This is not something that's ever been like revolutionary, but this is kind of what I'm doing, and I'm just sharing it with you. That's something that you might want to get into, especially if you're new to collecting. So coming back to what I was saying about Reshiram. So I picked up this Reshiram here. As you can see, it's a PSA 10. So I'm not going to bring it too close to the camera because also I'm sorry about this glare from my window. I should have blocked it out really. But this is the full art from the original Black and White set. Now, the reason I really like this card is because there's also part of this card is missing texture, where Reshiram's, you can't really see it there, but right at the top of the card here, where the hair is at the top, it's actually missing a tiny bit of texture. You can't really see it in the video, but I'm going to be putting up the cert number so you guys will be able to see it. I'll show you in a second on the PSA website. Now, coming back to what I just spoke to you guys in the presentation about, how do I come to all of these conclusions? Very simple. You can just go to psa.com and you can actually start looking at cards. So now here are some cards that I actually own. And the reason why I think these are going to do really, really well is just look at this one here, for example. I picked up this Zapdos Holo First Edition from a Gym Challenge at a really, really good price. This card is now 26 years old. And there's only 261 PSA 10s, as you can see on the screen, estimated at about $3,200. Now, take that with a pinch of salt. It's not always 100% accurate. I paid just over £1,000 for this card, and it's now sitting at around about, as I said, just under £3,000. So that card is pretty much tripled in value over the last 6 months. Now, when you come to PSA, you can actually check this on either on the app or actually via the website. The app's actually a lot more intuitive. It's much better. And the reason I love this is because if you go to population, coming back to my point about Turtle Pop is 2,300. Okay, so that's how many have been graded, 2311. 261 graded a 10. And the gem mint rate is 11.29%, which is very, very low. And as you can also know, in this market currently, for the what from what I know, most of these sort of older cards, the vintage cards, are doing exceptionally well. Here's another example of a Gyarados that I bought, 940-227-41. Let's look at that one. Okay, not doing it. Here you go. Here's another card I bought. Here is the Gyarados from Gym Challenge as well. This is not the first edition, but actually this is more rare than the first edition counterpart, which is amazing. It's actually got a lower pop and a harder gem mint rate on the PSA 10s for this particular card. But let's go back to this particular card actually and see why I decided to buy this. This card again was around £750 I paid for it. Currently valued at about $1,300. Only a population of 69, as you can see. Now, if we go down to all, view all, as you can see, this is the unlimited version. If you go to population here, so more have been graded than the Zapdos, population of 69, and only a 2.13% gem rate. This was an absolute steal that I bought. I managed to pick this up off eBay. Absolutely brilliant. I was really, really happy with this card. Now, this isn't just true for vintage cards. You've also got mid-era cards that you could also do this with. And the two examples I'm going to show you are the Reshiram and a Machamp Prime that I picked up. All of these within the last 6 to 9 months, maybe slightly longer. But let's have a look at the Reshiram for an example. So the cert on this is 82773637. We search that. Okay, PSA is playing up with me. 82773637. Search. There we go. And that is the Reshiram I picked up. Again, this is mid-era. Okay, I would consider this mid-era from 2011. Now, I bought this in anticipation of, as I said to you, Black Bolt and White Flare. And, I thought that it could have an opportunity and chance that if they were to print a Reshiram and Zekrom, now that is a little bit risky. But again, also look at the condition of this card. No whitening, really good centering, relatively new cert. And even like my Gyarados, it's a relatively new cert. But I'll show you the Machamp in a minute. It's a 4 cert. Again, this one here I picked up for around about £550. And this is now worth, let's just say, around £2,000. If we go here and have a look at the population, the gem rate, and as you can see here, there's missing texture. The hair does not connect. There's part of it that does not exist on the card. Some of the cards do have the full texture just up here. Again, 3,275 have been graded. Only 266 have actually achieved a 10. And the gem rate here is under 10%, which again is brilliant. I think that that's going to do really, really well in the future. Let's get another example of, did I just budge my mic? 1 second. I think I budged it. No, mic's still connected. Okay, next card that we have is the Machamp. This is the Machamp Prime. Again, I felt like the English Prime cards were just very underrated for a long time. This is a 4 cert, right? So it's an older cert. So, and this is why I said buy the card, not the grade. I'm going to bring up the card now just to show you that I'm looking at the conditions as well. They're really, really, really super important to look at the conditions. So 41965469. Okay, it doesn't have, I think the cert's too old to show you the images. But on this card, I'll post some pictures because I can't actually show you guys the card via, if I use the studio, let me just add to stage. As I said, it doesn't show you the actual picture because it is, again, quite an old cert. And if I show it to you here like this, my camera, I paid so much money for this Razer Kaio Pro. It just does not want to play ball. It just doesn't focus at all, and this glare in my eye is very, very annoying. But I'll just put up a picture of the front and the back of the Machamp. Absolutely clean, no whitening, no edge wear, very good centering. Maybe slightly, obviously it's an older cert, centering maybe slightly bit off, but an absolutely brilliant card. Again, coming back to the actual Machamp and looking at stuff like the population, 139. Let's look at how many have been graded. Population here, again, 1,457 have been graded, 139 in a PSA 10, and at 9.5% gem rate is brilliant. Again, I paid very little for this compared to what they're worth now. This is tripled in value. And then last but not least, I have this is just a Radiant Collection Flareon that I picked up this is from Generations. Obviously in anticipation of the 30th anniversary. Again, I managed to get this for relatively cheap. Like we're talking £600-700 for this card. It was under £600, I believe, around 600, including all in, VAT. No, there's no VAT in the UK or tax. But let me just show you this card as well. And this was obviously in anticipation for, the 30th anniversary. 619 788 23. Let's search that. So this is what I would consider almost modern in the sense that it's 10 years old, but in the grand scheme of things, it is fairly modern. Again, the population here is 192. Value again is more than, almost tripled in value. Let's have a look at the gem mint rate on this population. Beautiful card. I love that Flareon. 4% only. 4,688 have been graded. 192. Now, some people might think that's really, really high, but I think gem mint rate is really, really important when it comes to these cards. And as I said to you, this is tripled or quadrupled in value since I bought it. So yeah, this is basically, guys, my process. The older the better. Buy the card, not the grade. Again, with the Machamp and the Flareon, what I'm going to do is I'll post up the actual images of the cards to see how clean these are. The actual cards held. Corners and edges are so clean. I made sure I properly bought when I bought these. Buy the card, not the grade. Gem mint rate for less than 20%, ideally, with ideally thousands graded. Popular species, as I said, the Machamp arguably is not the most popular, but then we had that Machamp from the deck recently, first edition, sold for crazy money. Maybe this does well. I think these cards, these prime cards, have still got time to go. The Radiant Collection from Generations is brilliant anyway. These are the first full arts, by the way, the Reshiram and the Zekrom. And I'm also looking at stuff like this, like, what is it that I can do and buy that's kind of different and unique? Like this Reshiram, okay, and the Zekrom were the first full arts to be introduced to the hobby. This Zapdos has a swirl just below the feet here. You can't really see it in the image, but there's one just down here. I wish I could. It's just not going to show here. The Gyarados also has a swirl just there. I don't know if you can see it. And anything evolutions related is very, very popular. Machamp, let's see. I got it for so cheap, and I just feel like these prime cards seriously have been underperforming for a very, very long time. So it presents for a very, 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 very good opportunity. So yeah, as I said, recap, guys, the older the better. Buy the card, not the grade. less than 20% genuine rate. I'm just going to keep telling you popular or popularish species, spot opportunities in advance if you can, in anticipation. Obviously, don't go crazy. If you can't afford something, don't buy it. And also look for something that's unique and maybe has some errors or something different about it. Maybe there's a printing issue or something like that. And that would present for a very, very good opportunity. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I just thought I'd talk my mind about how I'm changing this around. I'm still going to be collecting sealed Pokemon investments and collections. So essentially anything that comes out new, I'm looking to get at least one booster box, a couple of ETBs from the Pokemon Center, anything that I can get from distribution, which I'm hardly getting anything for nowadays. Prismatic Evolutions was the last time I was able to get anything. I actually put in an order for 100 ETBs. I ended up getting 6, and that kind of told me very, very early on that things are going to change dramatically in the Pokemon space. So now I'm kind of consolidating, and also I don't have unlimited, infinite storage. Not everybody does. This is another thing you must think about. These things here, you know, I don't know, there's $10,000 here, roughly, there or thereabouts in my hand. Imagine how much $10,000 worth of product is, especially modern product. There's quite a lot. So thinking about, and by the way, these are going back into storage, so don't anybody get any crazy ideas. Yeah, so, you know, these investments are much easier to keep, to hold, to store away, to keep them securely. And I think that they're a good way to sort of diversify as well. But obviously, if you're not into graded cards, that's fine. I'm just giving you my take. Make sure you do slap the like button and subscribe to the channel. I've got loads more content coming for you. I have been very busy. I've got kids. I don't do Pokemon full time. I've got, you know, work, business, other things to take care of. But do stay tuned. For everybody that has still stayed subscribed, I'm very, very thankful and grateful to you, dirty beanbags. And I will catch you on the next one. See you later. Bye-bye.